I seriously cannot wait to drive this thing. It's gonna be so much fun. I think it's gonna be pretty fast. All right. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And stop. Send it, send it, send it. Yeah, it worked. Okay, I think we're ready for video number 3. This is the meat and potatoes of the full series. This is where we take the SC430 engine, the 3UZ FE front sump, fully resealed like we did in video number 2, and we're gonna go ahead and stuff it into the engine bay of the FRS. Today's gonna cover a lot of really interesting stuff. We're gonna put the engine and transmission together, the adapter plate, all the torque specs, the flywheel, the pilot bearing. We're gonna install all that stuff, show you guys kind of how to do it, the proper specs, everything. We're gonna come in here. Today, I would also like to do the fuel lines. The fuel lines right here are, you know, standard Subaru / Scion fuel lines. We wanna adapt those to a Motorsport, you know, -6 AN to show you guys how to properly do that. Today, we're not gonna get into the AC lines. We are gonna remove them, but there's only really a very minor amount of work to kind of do to get those done and ready. Some really cool news we figured out over the weekend. This is a 3UZ alternator, right? Looks pretty normal, pretty bland. This is the FRS wiring harness coming right out of the junction box. Literally plugs right in. Toyota could not have made it easier. The power for the 3UZ comes out on the USDM passenger side right here. So we'll be able to take the starter power wire, the OEM starter power wire, and plug it right into our battery right here. So this could not get any better for the swap. We've been steadily hard at work trying to figure out what AC line for the low pressure suction side AC line fits the best. We got 4 AC lines here. We're gonna try to figure out which one is gonna make the best one for doing the swap. This is the OEM FRS line. You can see how long that sticks out from the firewall right there. It goes into a rubber section here. I think it might be easier to find one that exists out in the world. So I went to the junkyard, which I never do. And this one's out of a Subaru WRX 2008 or 2010. Looks really similar, a little bit closer, kind of the same. So the WRX one might not work. Next up, we got a Toyota Camry 2010. This one might work only because it's really close to the firewall right here. Definitely gonna need to unbend this using a mandrel bender. Do not recommend bending it by hand. This might be close enough where the head, the back of the intake doesn't interrupt that situation. It's gotta go into right here. So that's kind of where we have a problem here. What would be ideal is using an LS430 bottom section to then go to another Lexus or some sort of 2-piece system that kind of drops in just like that. So that's essentially what we're trying to do. This one is out of a Scion Xb 2010. Again, same strategy, O-ring, same Japanese style firewall situation. You're definitely gonna have to modify the bending. This one was messed up. It is 2-piece. This is great news, guys. Firewall side, you might need to bend it slightly and then use an LS430 compressor side in order to get this done. We haven't really done this yet, but this is the key right here, 2-piece. So that might work actually right there. Scion Xb 2010 to a LS430 lower section. It's very, very tight back there. The high pressure line, you're gonna probably try to put that in now. Right now, we're only focused on getting the engine in, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, so we're here in the engine bay. Start removing a few things. The engine does go very far back. It goes really close to this clutch master cylinder right here. It gets really tight right here, clutch master cylinder area. The engine and whatnot comes really close to the reservoir. So this strategy of the OEM line is not conducive to really tight engine swaps. So with that said, we're also gonna switch out this low pressure line right here on the AC. So this is gonna unbolt right here, and then we're gonna have to show you guys our strategy for the new part that we're going to use. This is gonna come off. This is a 10, 12 mil right here. And both of these lines are gonna be unbolted for the install. And then we're also gonna take off this clutch line right here. We're gonna remake that this side of the clutch master cylinder to this side of the slave. Once the AC lines are off, clutch lines off. This shield right here in the model, I was seeing a little bit of interruption. So we're gonna go ahead and take the shield off by compressing these two line connectors here. This is gonna kind of go a little higher like this. We're gonna try to zip tie
this up, but we have to get this out of the way because the throat of the trans kind of comes really close to that right there.
So the FA20 and the 3UZ are both returnless systems. The FA20 runs at around 50 PSI. 3UZ is like between 43 and 46. These two lines right here are your fuel lines. So we're gonna go ahead and take these off. We're gonna measure this, either do a compression-based fitting or an adapter style fitting to a -6 automotive-based line to then go over to, it's gonna go behind the motor all the way to the front and do 180 into the fuel rail. And that's it. So now we got the fuel lines exposed. Now we can start to make our measurement to make the -6 set of fuel lines that you guys can buy on the website. We have to hammer this area right here. There's a little fastener just right next to that fastener, and then down in this area right here so that the throat of the transmission can fit in. And that's pretty much it for this side of the modifications. The next part of the modifications are all gonna be under the trans tunnel area. We're gonna remove the OEM cross member. So once that's gone and cleaned up, we'll then install our transmission tunnel reinforcement bracket system that we have laid out on that table right there. We're pulling up to the fitting and hose place where we can get some proper race car lines made, and they usually always take care of us. These guys are awesome. What we're gonna do is we're gonna basically make a proper -6 AN solution into a VVTI 1UZ or a 3UZ intake manifold. This is a returnless system with a crossover system that has a Y banjo. Both rails are plugged at either end. This is called a pro clamp right here. A pro clamp essentially goes over a -6 braided or any size line braided system, and I feel like it's not really the right way to do it, because when you go to clamp or squeeze or compress a -6 system like this, it takes a lot of effort to get it to clamp. This is made for a 3/8 line, and the physical line, the hard line coming out of the FRS is 8.25. We're gonna do a 30R9 E85 compatible flexible fuel injection line right here with a worm clamp on the other side. You can use the OEM worm clamp that comes on the FRS. We're gonna adapt that to the -6 here. This is the proper way to do this. It's gonna give you a little bit of wiggle room, and this is just the right way to do it, in my opinion. That way, all you guys have to do when you buy the kit is just push the line on, tighten the worm clamp here, tighten on the -6 fitting right here. We're gonna include a -690 right here, and then all the crush washers and everything to get this dialed in properly. Here we got a completed line with a swivel, and we can basically clock this to exactly how we want it to go. So, and then we're gonna go ahead and prep the back of the head with these bad boys right here. We're gonna take off this OEM fuel line. This would be what your fuel line would come in at. What we're gonna do is remove the harness right here to then pull this little fuel line Y off right here, take these off, and then this whole thing will come off. These are blocked at the ends, so you just need to feed both fuel rails from either end. .11/16 on this fitting. Even though the thread's metric, it's a metric to -6, so they yield to the SAE. And you don't want to be Hercules on these. These are aluminum fittings, so it's not going to be super tight. See that? That moves. To change the plenum runner length, I'd put it just like that. I'll just look at that real quick there. We're going to use a long line on the far end here, and the short line on the close end here. So those are done. We'll put those up there, out of the way. All right, when doing seats, you want to start in the back and then go to the front. I'm just gonna pop it off. It's not that heavy, but we have a lift here in the way, so it's gonna be kind of... That's it. All right, so now we're ready for the transmission tunnel reinforcement bracket system install. And that right there is going to be cutting or drilling through this mid portion right here of the trans tunnel. You're drilling through this, so we're gonna put a spacer through here to kind of show you guys where the drill holes are gonna come through. You're gonna use an angle drill. These are the tools you're gonna need right here to get through what we're about to do. That and a wire wheel would be the only other helpful thing to kind of make this go super fast. So this is gonna do most of the work right here. This is a 1/2 inch by 18 inch belt sander. This is for getting the spot welds undone. This is for doing the beginning work of the seam sealer. You wanna kind of put a nice good edge on this, 3-4 pound hammer, 13/32 drill bit, and an angle drill. This is important because that tunnel area gets really tight. It's gonna be hard to kind of get in there properly. Make sure the bit is tightened up and in there correctly. So let's go ahead and start. All right, so this is what we're trying to take out right here. This is the cross member support system right here. We're gonna be replacing that with our own transmission tunnel reinforcement bracket system. And that whole system bolts on using this fastener on either side. This kind of controls the location of the trans tunnel reinforcement bracket system. It's a mirror image on either side. Once you get this out, this becomes a smooth flat plane all the way to about right here. The next thing we need to do before we go any further is hammer this in right here. This is gonna be really loud. You should definitely wear hearing protection before doing this, but this whole bump right here and the bottom edge of this needs to get hammered in. Don't hit your fuel lines when you're doing this, but you're gonna hammer that in real quick. We got our 5-pound mini sledge, one of my favorite tools in the shop. Look at that, one hit just kind of knocked it. That's good, that's right where the bell housing is gonna hit. It'll come real close to that, so you'll see. All right, we're at the point where we can start grinding. Now that we've got all the seam sealer off, we're gonna get these 3 panels off real quick and we'll go from there. So this is what you want. You want a smooth transition right here. Throat of the firewall all the way back. We're gonna use this fastener right here and this fastener hole right here to hold our new TTRBS. We're basically taking, this is called our transmission tunnel reinforcement bracket system. You want the support side towards the back. It is directional. If you can see this, it's like a different length. This goes in the slot here. This goes in the slot. Don't forget that. Put that right in the slot. I think we provide this in the kit and then it fits the tunnel perfectly. Then you drill your holes. You drill your holes all the way through. And the reason this fits so perfectly is because we have OEM data from Toyota, from Scion, and this is just the absolute best we could possibly get it. The marking hole goes through the slot. And then you make your holes right here and you drill this through, all the way through here, 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 and then we go through the side here, here, here. And that's why you need that angle drill bit, 13/32 drill bit. We're using these new progressive stepped drill bits. These things are wild. You have 1 inch of movement. If you really wanted to move this thing around, I went ahead and ground it flat to where all the nubs are kind of gone. It's revealing a lot of these spot weld penetrations right here. And we're gonna go ahead and fill these in real quick so that everything's kind of dialed in. We're really close. We're getting ready to mount these up and then drill the holes. We're gonna drill 6 holes per side using a 13/32 drill bit. And that's gonna go all the way through. And then once we're done with that, we're literally dropping in the engine. You wanna make sure this is out of the way before you start. This is your airbag wire. It sits right in between the drill paths. So you don't wanna take a chance and get real close. We cut the bottom clip off because unfortunately we can't run that with the TTRBS. This will just sit right on top of it when it's done. But you want to move it out of the way before you start drilling. That's the way it should be done. That's what you're looking for right there. There's 2 layers of sheet metal here, and you're gonna use the smaller fasteners to go through these 3, and then the longer fasteners to go through these 3. 2 pieces here. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. Now we're gonna go ahead and drill our fasteners all the way through. We got our angle drill, 13/32. Keep it nice and square when you're going through. Even at a tiny angle, that way would be acceptable. Okay, so if you look right here, you can see that we're drilling right through the seam sealer, and there's insulation on the other side to prevent sound detonating by any type of like vibration, road noise, stuff like that. We're switching to this traditional drill. This is not conducive for this right here because you're gonna come in at a bad angle. You only want to use this going up. Right, so. This fastener uses a 15mm socket on both the head and the nut. You want to use a deep socket for the nut, and you can use whatever you want for the head. This one's kind of staying put, so we'll keep that one there. Now we're gonna go top side and put these in. The longer ones, obviously this kind of matches here. You can kind of see how that kind of goes. It'll go like this on the inside of the vehicle. And there's both of these. And then this is the inside portion. It goes like that on the inside of the vehicle. You're gonna need to cut or trim a little bit of the insulation down here to reveal that third hole on both sides. So now what we do is just pop these through here. We get our little support on the other side. So just like that. If you want to, you can hammer down this little hump that sticks up right here. That's advised. You can basically put all the screws in through the top. Let me get a hammer real quick. We'll nail that down on that side. Just like that. Literally 2 hits is more than plenty. That's it. Same thing with the other side. Okay, you don't want to tighten all those up yet. Keep those out of the way because you got to fit the other 3 in here. This plate's going to go small side down like this, just on it like that. Only when you have all the fasteners in do you start using your socket or impact or whatever to kind of really drive it in. You don't want to go too hard. You want to kind of put it on like the first setting or whatever and kind of just walk it in. We're going to put this on the back side here, make sure it's on tighten. All right, we're going to torque these to 36 foot-pounds. Transmission tunnel reinforcement bracket system is in. Basically, this is the FRS trans right here. We have 2 of them. This one's a little bit newer, fresher, synchros, whatever. Basically, the flywheel touches right here. So it's necessary to grind this little lip off right here. We're gonna grind it back about 1 inch or so, all the way around, just so the flywheel doesn't contact at all. This doesn't affect any part of the structural anything. It just is a cosmetic casting situation. So we're gonna go ahead and grind that back just a little bit to make way for the flywheel. Just get everything kind of dialed in. Love these engine mounts. Powder coat them, we use proper polyurethane bushings. We laser weld them. It's gonna go to 65 foot-pounds. $14 mil socket, going to 65 foot-pounds. Driver's side bank, we're leaving the exhaust off because it's not going to clear the steering shaft. You'll see that when we go to put it in. A lot of movement right here. By design, we want you to have as much adjustability as possible. I think it's 1 inch a slot. It's a lot, but basically I give you a lot of adjustability in the mounts. Pretty nice tight design, I like it. This washer right here is not necessary to keep when you're installing this. This is used as a shim to kind of space the engine off of the subframe, off of the steering column. I accounted for just over 1/4 inch of clearance between the steering column, the bottom of the oil pan, so I included this as a way to shim it up. I personally am gonna take this out to where I can get this kind of lowered down as far as possible. Center of gravity a little bit lower, but moving on. We're gonna go ahead and put the engine up here on our bench, and then we're gonna install the pilot bearing adapter. Pilot bearing adapter comes in this nice little sleeve right here. It's labeled, part number's right there if you wanna reorder it from our website. Dowel pins are already in, the adapter plate. Pilot bearing in first, flywheel second, adapter plate third, clutch system fourth. This is version 2 of the shifter cup. This plate's adjustable, shifter is adjustable, so you got a lot of adjustment within here. Got slides in there, nice and comfortable. M6 fasteners, the stock fasteners kind of go in so you can keep your stock reverse lockout. you got to put the OEM flex plate spacer on. This is imperative. This is the OEM flex plate spacer. It's about 3/16 thick and it's chamfered on both sides. It just goes on. This is imperative for proper spacing. If you don't put that on, the flywheel will bottom out and hit a portion of the block. So, all right, next step is these flywheel fasteners. These come with the kit. It's an ARP 12 point and the instructions on how to torque these down. 70 foot-pounds in 4 different steps. 70 foot-pounds is the final torque. So when you're tightening on the flywheel and you're by yourself, take a 22 mil socket right here and put it onto your crank right here. You gotta remember the crank is torqued to 181 foot-pounds and the flywheel bolts are only 70 foot-pounds final torque. That right there won't be nothing. All right, the flywheel fasteners are a very specific length from ARP. They take a 13 millimeter 12 point. You're only gonna lube underneath the head right here with the ARP lube. You're gonna put Loctite 242 red on the fastener threads. 70 foot-pounds. Alternating and adjacent like a star pattern. This is very, very important. These 2 starter fasteners go into the block, stick out past the plane of the bell housing. If you can see here, this is ground down. You have to grind these down about 1/8 of an inch. This is the adapter plate with the recess for the shoulder of the slave cylinder. This is a 17 millimeter head right here for the M10 and a 19 millimeter head for the M12 by 1.25. These are 10.9 fasteners. This is gonna go to 85 foot-pounds up here, and these are gonna go to 65 foot-pounds down here. Adapter plates on, moving on to the next, clutch system. Now is the time when you clean all this up with the brake parts cleaner, get all the contaminants off, don't touch it with your fingers. The oil from your fingers will literally eat away at the metal and you'll see it over time. Wear gloves. Do not touch the surface that touches the disc. These are gonna be torqued down to 26 foot-pounds with red Loctite. They're hex flange head, proper fastener. Your alignment tool, there is a little bit of wiggle room. You gotta get it right in the middle. You want the spring pack to be facing the transmission side. Take this, put it in here, onto here, all the way in. Never trust that it's gonna stay there because it could fall out. I've seen it happen many times. There are 3 dowel pins on this. You wanna line your dowel pins up. See that? It might not go on that easy at the very beginning. You wanna make sure it's right in the middle when you start torquing this down. If not, it won't go in correctly. Now, when you're putting the transmission on, you never want to use fasteners to pull the transmission onto the adapter plate. That will be the quickest way to bend the clutch disc. I've seen customers do it. Do not use bolts to pull the transmission onto the adapter plate. If you're struggling, you want to put the transmission into 6th gear and then wiggle the transmission back and forth. That's usually the best way to put this on. It doesn't go in and out easily. First step, 13 foot-pounds. 13, 13, 13, go to 26. That's how you do it. If it doesn't look like that, it's not in correctly. Moment of truth. The clearance is really tight, so I pulled this fan connector off. I need to kind of get that disconnected and then tuck that behind the fan, but we're almost there. We're so close. So here we go. It's pulled up, yeah. So yeah, we'll just push it over your way a little bit more, just like that. Other than that, it's like sliding right in. So we're just gonna go down a little bit more. I tried to install with the passenger side header. I cut the flange off. We're gonna pull the header. You can't install the engine with the headers installed. Bottom line, so right now, I'm gonna do the painful part of pulling the header with it inside the car. no big deal. It's just a 14 wrench or 14 deep socket. This is why you want to do everything outside of the vehicle that you can do. Every single thing, like resealing it, just every facet of maintenance, all that stuff, do it outside of the vehicle. Makes it dramatically easier. You can still change a clutch and change the transmission out, etc. But you want to do like all your normal routine maintenance outside of the car. These two connectors go into the OE trans, which is there's a harness on top of the trans where it goes. Okay. Fuel lines are installed. Check that out. Sick. AN. See the engine mount bolt. We're gonna level it out. And it's kind of tilted, like rotated like this. We're gonna rotate it flat and then tilt it back to where you can put the trans in. Right now it's too like tilted up, so we gotta tilt it all the way back as far as it'll go. We're dropping the subframe about 1/2 inch just to show you what's needed to kind of clearance-wise to get the trans installed easily. All right, so that gets it a little bit further out of the way. We still gotta get the trans in, so we're gonna try to tilt this down as much as possible. Pull down on this a little bit, and now we can kind of start the trans install. It's gonna be really tight, I'm warning you guys. It's gonna be super tight. These springs have a different hole dimension from here to the side and from here, and the springs are identical left and right, but this is how you put them in. Make sure put them in exactly like this. So I'm just gonna take a touch of this grease here and put it underneath the fork pivot mechanism right there. Touch of this grease here. Like Bob Ross painting, you know, just a little bit goes a long way, white lithium, you know. So now we're gonna take it like this, make sure your spring is in right there, that up to the fork. That. Put this on the front input shaft, slide it all the way back, and it clicks right on just like that. It's gonna bottom out. So we're gonna come up with a clutch line, that banjo on this side, and then kind of comes up, goes around onto the other side with a little 90. Remember, the adapt plate is right here. So this basically touches like it's like a little pad in there that kind of, when you're in gear or in reverse or whatnot, I can't remember which one this is. I think this one's, yeah, this is your reverse light. And these clamps are just not really, they're not hurting anybody, you know? Nothing's in the way, it's not doing anything. Just kind of set it up like that. This is your gear selection switch that will tell if the transmission is in gear or not. This is helpful for cruise control. Cruise control obviously should not be on if you're not in gear. If this is not grounding out, like when it's in neutral, it's out. When it's in gear, it's in. That's how these usually work, so. See that? Just pinch right now. Oh, yeah, let me see if I can get it to this one too. There it is. You gotta get through that hump where the input shaft goes into the pressure plate area, and then we can go further up to then insert into the disc. It's a very difficult dance. That seems to be working right there. I think it fell back out. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. We made significant progress. We should be able to rotate and perfectly align the trans to get it in. There it is. Guys, holy chat. What? I'm a grown man getting happy about putting in car parts. Look at that, guys. Yes, it is in. Look at that, engaged and everything. Oh man. All right, so I'm gonna fine tune this real quick just by kind of maneuvering this. Because it's touching and the splines are engaging and everything, we're gonna put a loose bolt into the adapt plate. All the bolts are kind of really nice and dialed in. I can't believe we got it. I was this close to giving up, man. You have no idea. Look at this bolt kit. That's just beautiful. Very excited, guys. Again, we're just going to use this as a placeholder because the dowel pin is in. We are lined up, the splines are in. We're going to use this as leverage to pull the other dowel pin in. Sometimes the dowel pins get a little stubborn. You got to take your hand like a clamp and kind of squeeze it in. You don't want to use the bolt to pull the trans in. That's how you bend and break stuff. If you can use your hand, you're not going to hurt anything. That's what I was getting at here. This is already touching here, so the bolt's not going to do anything other than kind of keep it in there. This is pretty much dialed in. It's so dialed in that these are going in effortlessly. The tap quality on the plate is really, really, really good. We use really high quality spiral flute bottoming taps where we can get all the way through, and the thread quality is like a 6/8. It's good. It's good stuff. Oh man, I'm gonna drink a Pepsi over Coke. Let me grab a 15 ratchet. The engineering's dialed in. So let me undo these fasteners. We're gonna load up the cross member real quick. Kind of a rare. We are free. So, all right, what you do is you start right here at the tail shaft seal, right there. See where that black seal is, the tail shaft seal, pull it right underneath. Could not get any more convenient than that. Should we do aluminum or steel shaft? I abuse my cars, so I just do steel shafts, but this might be a daily where I just daily drive this thing for long distances, so aluminum shaft. Let me know in the comments. Guys, I am so excited. This is a reality. We have a 3UZ and an FRS. The hood closes. I got it back, pushed back to where you can kind of get your hand in between everything. There's plenty of room for turbo headers if you wanted to do that. There's a lot of room. I can stick my whole fist and move my hand around where the headers would go. So we got stuff to kind of do, but more importantly, I'm so happy we got this full swap in. The hood closes. I can't say enough good things. Next video, guys, we're gonna go over wiring. There's 11 wires to get the 3UZ running. There's 6 grounds and 5 powers that you need to hook up to literally start this thing up. The next thing is we're gonna address the AC1 and AC2, AB1 for the starter plug going into the FRS. Let us know what you guys wanna see for the next video. Do you guys wanna see a standalone option? Do you guys wanna see OEM Plus? Do you wanna see us integrate that OEM ECU into the system, or would you guys like to see something else? We wanna hear from what you guys think about how to do this in the comments below. We already got the fuel lines done. These are gonna be live on the website by the time you see the video. We're working on the AC lines right now. These are a little bit more complicated than I anticipated. However, they're not impossible. We'll definitely get this done in a proper way. We can't have a Florida swap car without having air conditioning, and it just wouldn't be a street car without AC. So next video, shifter, drive shaft, install, full exhaust. We'll have the headers probably in by then, and then we'll start modifying the headers to kind of bring it down into a Y pipe, get that all the way back out, fire it up, show you guys exactly what to do. As always, like and subscribe. I'm so happy you guys followed this far into the journey to see it completed.